Kia ora and welcome back to Super Zoom Videos. Today, with the release of the Nikon P1100, I thought now would be a great time to look back on the accessories that I've used the most over the last 7 years with the Nikon P1000. Now, we've done this before, but I thought I'd cast my eye to the accessories that I have found the most useful and share them with you. I will say, before we get into this list, that these recommendations are based on the P1100 having the same form factor as the P1000, which I'm pretty sure should be about right. If it's not, I will leave a comment or a thing somewhere here letting you know that I've got it wrong. So yeah, no worries about that, just keep an eye out for it. Fingers crossed, all good. How you feel about the size of these cameras is really going to come down to the experience you've had with cameras in general. If you're coming from a background of only small factor bridge cameras, then yes, the P1100 and P1000 are going to feel massive. However, if you come from a world full of full-frame bodies and telephoto lenses, then these cameras are going to feel compact by comparison. George's Camera TV on YouTube have done a fantastic job of making this comparison. It's not one I can show you because I don't have a giant telephoto lens, so I highly recommend checking out their channel if you want to get a bit more of a reference point for that size comparison. Now, what this doesn't change is if you're shooting at a longer focal length, or you're just not used to the weight of this camera, you're gonna want a little bit of stabilization. Now, I don't really use tripods all that often myself. I'm a bit lazy, so I just can't be bothered carrying them with me. So I turned to the wise folk of Facebook to ask what they have found is the best tripod for the Nikon P1000. Now, as you can see, Manfrotto was popular across the board. But the general consensus was, so long as the tripod was fit for purpose and met your requirements, you should be fine, no matter what tripod you go with. Alright, but what if you're a little bit lazy like me and you don't want to carry around a full-size tripod? That's when one of these bad boys comes into play. This is a GorillaPod. They're small, they're compact, and they have nice flexible legs, which means you can adapt on the fly, and I also like to use it as an extra bit of support when using the camera freehand. One of the last things I added to my kit was a quick release dove plate. When I last made this list, I mentioned that the Nikon P1000 had issues with its center of gravity when fully zoomed out. And this also proved to be a weak point in the camera, as many people had issues with the screw mount snapping off completely. This doesn't seem to be something that has been rectified with the P1100, as I noticed even in their promotional photos, the guy seems to have some sort of quick release plate attached to the bottom of the camera. Now, that plate isn't going to solve your problem, but these ones will. I spoke about my guy Joel Shet and his camera-saving dove plate during my last video, and I am pleased to say Joel is not just still making these excellent plates, he's even gone so far to redesign things for a better fit and assures me he will be checking out if his current design works with the P1100 as well. So Joel has been kind enough to send me the new version of the dove plate again. So this is the old version, still works perfectly well. This is the new version. See, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, grips the camera a lot better, and he put that little thing in there, so you no longer have to go find a coin to try and screw the mount onto the bottom of the camera. Good job, man. Love your work. So what these plates do is move that screw mount up a little further on the camera so you don't have to worry about it tipping over and you're far less likely to break anything. Now, I'm going to leave a link to Joel's store in the description and probably in the comments as well, and I highly recommend if you are buying one of these cameras for the first time that you invest in one of these dove plates to go along with whatever tripod you end up using. So if you have watched this channel long enough, you will be well aware that I do not like Nikon's Snap app. This is the app that's meant to help with transferring photos from your camera to your phone. It's bad. It hardly ever connects, and I'm going to be such a little bitch about it, I'm not even going to go and check and see if they actually updated it. What I do like is a good dongle. So obviously, if you like a good dongle, you'll also like a good SD card, and an SD card is absolutely 100% required for your P1100 or P1000 because it has no internal storage. Now, just like the tripod, the memory card that you end up getting doesn't necessarily need to be a specific brand so long as it meets the criteria you need it for. So if you are going to be filming in 4K, you'll want to make sure you meet these three criteria: SD Speed Class 6, SD Video Speed Class 10, and UHS Speed Class 3. You'll be able to spot these things on the memory card themselves, and that's just to ensure you get the absolute best out of whatever footage or photos you are taking. Alright, so you've taken your photos, you've taken your video, but you now need to get it from your camera to your computer, or to your iPad, or to your phone. That's when one of these bad boys comes into play. I personally have relied on the almighty dongle to get my content from A to B. I have one for both my Apple products and also for my PC. And honestly, it's just so much easier to do this than worry about whether SnapBridge is going to bother to connect today. The Nikon P1000 or P1100 are no one's first choice for vlogging camera. However, if you need to capture high quality audio, then you're gonna wanna get yourself one of these, an external mic, or maybe even one of these, just a clip-on dealie. Now this is because even putting the sound of camera zooming aside, there is a definite dull hum underpilling all of the camera's audio. It might be hard to hear at first, but once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. It was one of the first things I noticed in Nikon's own P1100 video. The hum is unfortunately still a thing. Now, I use Rode mics for most of my videos and have never had any issues with those, but shop around as it's definitely a market that has expanded over the last few years with the rise of vlogging. So you see, I'm the guy who has spent the last 7 years with their P1000 swimming around in the bottom of their backpack. And that's probably been to my detriment for two reasons. I have set my camera flying on two separate occasions, once pulling it out of my backpack in Kyoto's train station, resulting in the biggest sound in the world, in one of the quietest countries on the planet. And again, while pulling it out of my bag on the side of a mountain and watching it bounce off some volcanic rocks. I do not recommend you do either of those things. Both times I unexpectedly caught it on something in the bag, and this is because the bag itself is not designed for this camera. My second reason is a bit more straightforward. Simply not having access to your P1100 or P1000 in a quick manner is a bit of an affront to the entire idea of these cameras. Being able to whip these cameras out quickly to video or photograph wildlife or something happening off in the distance is really the biggest selling point for these cameras. So any chance you have to make this faster, you should take. Now there are a number of bags and holsters on the market now that will account for these cameras' size. So I highly advise that you be smarter than me and invest in one of these bags or holsters, because you don't want to be in a situation where you need to get a shot off quickly and you're stuck trying to pull your camera out of your backpack. So I'm sure there are a lot of accessories that I didn't cover off today, things that would be at home in anybody's Nikon P1000 or P1100 kit. Have I missed something important? Let me know in the comments. I will leave a link to many of the things we've discussed today so you can go and have a look for yourself. As usual, have an amazing weekend wherever you are in the world. Like, subscribe, share, and ka kite ano. See ya.